we're going to be talking about perpendicular lines. What do we know about perpendicular lines? Perpendicular lines are two lines that when they cross, they create a 90-degree angle. Okay, so right now what are we going to focus is on their equations. So we're going to use y equals mx plus b one more time so we can write the equations of these two lines. So I'm going to start with this line right here. I'm going to call this line L1, line 1. So let's write the equation for line 1. I'm going to start with slope, and I know that in a graph I find slope rise over run. Okay. So I'm going to go from this point right here to this point right here. My rise is 1. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 over 4. Very good. Now, I'm going to find my B. My B is where the line crosses the y-axis, which in this case will be -2, because the line crosses the y-axis right there at -2. So now I can write my equation for the line 1. Line 1, y equals m 1/4 of x plus b, but this is a negative, so I'm going to put -2. Very good. Okay, now we're going to do line 2, this line right here. I'm going to call it line 2, L2. So for line 2, I'm also going to find my equation. So I'm going to start the same with slope. Again, rise over run. So in this case, I'm going to go from this point to this point right here. Hopefully it doesn't get too crowded. So my rise is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. But I went down, so that tells you that it's a -4. Okay. Over the run, which is a 1. So -4 over 1 is -4. Now I'm going to find my B, which is my y-intercept. So the line crosses the y-axis right there. So that's going to be my B. In this case, 1. So that's going to be a 1. So we are ready to write our second equation. Y equals m -4 x plus b plus 1. So now I'm going to compare my two lines. And here's where we're going to learn something about perpendicular lines. In perpendicular lines, we say that the slope of the first line times the slope of the second line equals -1. What that means is, if I take this slope and I take that slope and I multiply them, I should get -1. Not 1, not 2, only -1. So let's do that. So the slope of my first line is 1/4. So I'm going to say 1/4 times the second slope, which is a -4. -4. So remember, fractions will multiply top with the whole number. So 1 times -4 is negative. Let me change colors. Is -4 over 4 times the invisible 1, 4. -4 divided by 4, -1. So I got -1. So yes, they are perpendicular. Okay. Now, here we have only the equations, not the graph. But we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to focus first on the slope. So for the first equation, the slope equals -2, because my equation is in the y equals mx plus b. So m is the number in front of the x, m is the slope, m equals -2. And for the second one, m equals 1/2. So let's prove. Does m1 times m2 equals -1? because that's the rule for perpendicular lines. My first slope, it's a -2. My second slope, it's a 1/2. If I multiply this, remember whole numbers multiply the top of the fraction. That's going to be equal to -2 over, don't forget there's an invisible 1 here, so you multiply the bottoms. 1 times 2, 2 equals -1. So yes, when I multiply my slopes, I get -1. So we can say yes, they're perpendicular. Now let's look at our second example right here. In our second example, we have y equals x minus 4, and then we have 4y equals -4x plus 8. Let's start with the first slope. Here I know that my slope is 1 because the number in front of the x is an invisible 1. Slope is 1. But here my equation is not in the form y equals mx plus b. So that's the first thing I do. I need to change it to where now the y is alone. How would I do that? I would have to get rid of the 4. Get rid of this 4 that is with the y. How? Dividing. Divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. So the 4's are going to cancel. My y is alone. And here, -4 divided by 4, -1x plus 8. So my second slope is -1. So let's see, is m1 times m2 equals -1? Well, m1, the first slope is 1. m2, the second slope is -1. And -1 times +1 gives you -1. The answer was actually -1. We can say yes, they're perpendicular.